Hiya folks, it's Leo Oldpold. Hope you're all doing well. Well, it's an absolutely beautiful day down here where I am. The oak is pretty much all out in leaf now, which, as per the subject of a video I did several years ago, means that we're in for a good summer because it's out before the ashes. Since we've had the lockdown, we've had some just crazy good weather, and I am in quite possibly one of the most beautiful parts of the country to be stuck in for a little bit. So yeah, I have to count my blessings really. This is a absolutely lovely place to be. But saying that, I can't stay here forever, so I'll likely be moving on in a week or so. But in the meantime, I'm appreciating being where I'm at. And this weather's just been astounding, absolutely wonderful. I can sleep with the door of the truck open because I'm in a nice safe place, you know. Let the fresh air through. Oh, just wonderful. So, getting on to housekeeping, I'm drinking a bottle of local beer called Boondoggle from the Ringwood Brewery, which is just down the road from here, a couple of miles. And I'm smoking, which is really the reason for this video, because you may remember several years ago, a couple of years ago, just before I went to Papua New Guinea, I had a number of immense packages from people, but one in particular was from my buddy Sean, who's PN Westy on Instagram and YouTube. And one of the things he sent me was this Stonehenge Flake. Now, I had wanted to do the sort of grand opening and everything of this tobacco and my first try of it in the place of its name at Stonehenge, which is actually not all that far from here. It's about half an hour north from here, but also not very far from where I'll be moving on to as well. So it's relatively local to me, really. But on one occasion, I went on the motorbike, and although there's actually a byway, a little old road, it's a track really, that you used to be able to sort of drive up or park on. They blocked all of that off, so I couldn't get the bike off the main road and onto that little byway, so I could get a shot of or some video of Stonehenge in the background or whatever. So anyway, long story short, I didn't get around to doing it, did I? But I'm doing it now. Obviously, everything's shut down at the moment, so I couldn't take you to Stonehenge even if I wanted to. But I was sat thinking to myself, do you know what, it's a lovely day. I'm just going to sit, smoke a pipe, drink a beer, and just give a little bit of feedback on this particular baccy. So, it's GLP's brand. I've only had a couple of GLP's as blends before, and to be quite honest, I can't remember what any of them were. Sixpence, I think, was one of them, which was a really good blend. So this is predominantly a Virginia Perique, which just find I've been doing a washing up on the hay bale that I'm sat on. If you're wondering why it's covered in a tarpaulin, it's because what I want to do is when I leave from here, I'll feed the hay to the horses, so I wanted to keep it dry as much as possible. But in the meantime, this is my sort of outdoor table and seat and place where I do my washing up. But Anyway, yeah, where was I? So yeah, it's predominantly a Virginia Perique, which I thought would be great for this weather. And I thought, I'll sit out, I'll have a smoke, enjoy a beer. And because I'm sat on a bale of hay, there's something about a Virginia Perique you'll know that that just smells wonderfully of hay. This isn't like that, I have to say. This is really interesting because, as well as it being Virginia Perique, there's burley in it, and that's actually the dominant smell for me. Above the Virginia, above the Perique, is the smell of burley, that cocoa sort of smell. But it's beautiful. Just a little look in the tin there. It's I'm going to put this in a jar afterwards because these tins aren't particularly great. So it sort of comes as a bit of a broken flake. It's quite dark, quite thick cut. Now this has got a couple of years on it, so there's actually a little bloom on there, which is nice. But the smell, yeah, you've got that hay sort of smell of the Virginia, but there's definite burley. The burley's really sort of forward in the nose. So yeah, and I know that Sean was interested to know what I thought about this blend. So these are my thoughts. I can tell you it pairs very well with a nice light ale. I decided to pour myself an early Oscar. I think it's the Oscar Tiger, because it's the only Savinelli that I've got that's closest to the one which our good buddy Matches 860 used to smoke, and I was thinking about him earlier on, so figured I'd smoke it in a pipe that was as close to his as I own. But I'm glad, actually, I'm really glad that I did not take this to Papua New Guinea with me. I'm glad that I left it here in the UK in a box in a garage, getting a bit of age on it, and so I could really enjoy it in these sorts of surroundings. In fairness, it is a really lovely smoke. It's quite burley forward in my opinion, which as a burley lover is good for me, sure. In actual fact, I'd go so far as to say the burley's a lot more prominent than the Virginia or the Perique. But it's not too heavy either. It's not too strong. It's quite nice and light. And personally, I think it's an absolutely fantastic accompaniment to this beautiful spring weather. So, thank you, Sean. I know it was a couple of years ago that you sent me the package. And in truth, I've still got a lot of it left. A lot of the stuff actually got put in jars and then forgotten about for a while, which I'm just pulling out some of the LJ Peretti blends, which are quite phenomenal. They really are top shelf tobaccos. But as it happens, this one's pretty damn good too. Well, I hope you guys are all doing really well. I know that lockdown and quarantine is a big frustration for a lot of people. A lot of people going mad. People certainly going mad in the USA, but that's nothing new. But I hope you're keeping your wits about you, looking after yourselves, and taking the necessary precautions to secure yourself, your community, and importantly, those people in the emergency services who are doing all the good work in the hospitals. As you can see, I'm doing all right. I actually just had a roebuck just run right past the door of the truck here. Although the guy who owns this land has recently had deer fencing put up all around it, one roebuck seemed to get in through somewhere, neighbouring land, and it got himself down here by my truck in a bit of a panic, so he was running around in a circle, much to my cat's amusement. I've got a dog fox that comes to visit pretty much every night. I feed it, so any leftovers I've got will go into one of the cat bowls, and I leave it outside the truck, and it's always gone in the morning. I've only seen him once or twice, and that was at night. He's pretty shy, but yeah, he's been getting very well fed around here, and he's been leaving me little presents on top of the straw pile. There's also a few local feral cats that are nosing about as well, but Peanut, my little cat, shoos them off pretty quick. First cuckoo was heard here on exactly the day that you're supposed to hear a cuckoo, which is, I believe, the 14th of April. I remember posting it on Facebook. I don't remember the date exactly, but I think it was the 14th. And I believe it was Rudyard Kipling who wrote something about it being expected that the first cuckoo will always be heard on the 14th of April. Well, I heard the first cuckoo here on that date anyway. And I tell you what, it feels good. It feels good to be going back into the summer. It's already very warm for this time of year. But beautiful, peaceful, wonderful weather. Birds singing, trees blooming, good smoke, beer. What more does a guy need? Anyways, before I make this video too long, you guys look after yourselves, and I'll catch you all again soon. Until then, take care.